Hello and welcome back to Master Gardening. I'm your host, Bud Qualk, and today we're at the Park Garden. We've got 3 acres of Stonescape, water features. You don't want to miss this one. I'll be right back. Oh, JM, this is quite a place you got here. Your wife said you had 14 water features?
That's right.
And have you been doing this your whole, it looks like you've been working on this for about 50 years here. Is that about right? Your whole life?
About 5 years, Bud.
5?
About 5 years.
Full time, round the clock?
Well, maybe when snow was on the ground, I didn't do anything. When it was real cold.
You mean you did this 5 years part time?
Yeah, sure did.
What, is this the first place you've done any water features?
When we lived in Reland 20 years ago, I built one waterfall there. Had a concrete bottom, which all my ponds now have rubber bottoms.
A lot easier,
A lot
quicker?
easier, and they don't leak.
So you did the first one the hard way, and then you found that every time you did one, you probably found easier ways to do it?
Right. And
I hope so.
these liners came off of the Murray State University buildings.
You stole them?
No, I bought them, but they're a lot thicker than liners you could buy today.
Oh, okay.
So they're about 4, 5, 6 times as thick. And some of these have been in for 10 years and never had a leak yet.
But you can buy these at a normal store. If somebody wanted to build a water feature themselves, they can buy it pretty well the same thing at a certain nursery or
at
store.
Lowe's or a nursery or someplace like that.
Montgomery Gardens, maybe.
Right, yeah.
But you did all these yourself. You didn't hire a crew.
No,
you got to have had some help. Neighbors come over and help out.
No, I did it all by myself. My wife told me how she wanted it, and I tried to go from there.
So she was the boss and the supervisor.
She was the
Everything
boss.
you had to do had to be approved through her first before.
Right. If she didn't like it, I'd change it, or add to it, or take away.
But she really wasn't much help, right? Other than that.
Not manually, but
You better watch what you say now.
she didn't help manually, but she helped mentally.
Yes. Okay. And spiritually and all that good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to take a look here in a minute. What's the hardest part of the whole job? Is it?
Well, the hardest part was, after you get it laid out like you want it, was all the digging that you had.
No backhoe or anything?
No. And you use the dirt that came out of the pond as a part of the sides to build it up around.
Yeah.
And that would help you wouldn't have to dig your pond so deep then.
I would have thought that hauling all those rocks would be the hardest part.
Well, that was hard too. I probably got 100,000 pounds of rock out here, and they came from, some of it came from Illinois, some of it came from Smithland, some of it came from Cairo, Illinois. Most of it came from Smithland and Verna. Most of it came from Verna, and I would go up there with my big trailer would hold 3,000 or 4,000 pounds of rock at a time.
And move each one of them yourself?
Move each one, and he had 4 or 5 big piles of rock, big as some of the biggest, half as big as this garden here.
Well, they don't know yet. Wait till we go around and see all these water features, what we're talking about. But there's quite a few rocks in here.
And some of these rocks I have moved from 4 to 6 times. I've handled it.
Is that because of the supervisor's instructions, or is that?
Well, at the rock quarry, I'd go pick it out, put it on my hand truck, and roll it up to the trailer.
I see. Okay.
And unload it on the trailer. That's 2 times. And then when I get down here, I have to unload it. That's 3 times. And the 4th time, you pick it up and place it somewhere, and it may not work there, so you lay it back down again.
So you had to touch it that many times, sooner or later.
6 to 8 times, some of it.
And how old were you when you started all this? That's a personal question, but
that's okay. I was about 70 years old.
70 years old when you started doing this?
Maybe 60, maybe 69.
Cheating a year there? Yeah. Okay.
But one of the rocks out here weighs 400 pounds.
You didn't move that by yourself.
They put it in my van with enough weight to keep it inside the van from falling out.
Yeah.
And I backed up as close to where I wanted it as I could. And then Betty got my hand truck, put it up next to the rock, and I got up in the van and eased the rock up onto it. And then I backed up about 40 foot where I wanted it. And then I got out of its way and let it fall.
Let it find its own place.
Yeah.
400 pounds, 70 years old.
It was about 8 inches thick, and as big around as a round tabletop. That's how large it was.
Will you look forward to starting all over and doing it again?
No.
No? Oh, wait a minute, you're supposed to encourage our listeners to do this kind of. But yeah, it's
I paid $35 for that one rock because I wanted it.
Yeah. Okay. You didn't pick it up along the road. You had to go buy it.
I had to go buy it. That's right.
You ever picked up rocks along the road?
If I see one laying out there along the road, I'd stop and get it because the state would come by and throw it in their truck and haul it off. So.
Okay. Well, let's. I'm interested in looking at the rest of these and ask you some more questions about how you did each one of them. You've got 14 different ones. Some of them are big, some of them are small.
Yeah.
And let's go take a look at some of these. JM, you want to? JM, you told me this was the only one that has fish in it out of 14 of them.
That's right. We had about 15 fish 3 years ago, and the hawks have caught all of them but 2, and there they are. See them up.
There are the only 2 left. The hawks ate them all, huh?
The hawks would catch, they'd get down in here.
Splash around and get them.
Right, so I have put that large rock there with a shed over it there.
Give them a little place to hide.
So the fish can get in there and hide.
Mm-hmm.
And when the weather gets real hot, they get up in there where it's a little cooler.
Yeah, that's a really neat pump right there. Good gosh,
That pump is probably about 150 years old, and it's from Germany. And we found it way up in Pennsylvania, and
hauled it all the way back here.
Hauled it all the way back here.
It looks like it's heavy too.
Only 2 that I've ever seen. I have one, and my sister has one.
Well, there's a breeze right now. I'll tell you what, it's about 110 degrees today, isn't it?
It feels like it.
Yeah. Tammy, it's the last time we're doing a daytime one. The size of these rocks over here, you handle those by yourself? Those look like they're about 4 foot wide.
I handled every rock out here by myself, except 2 or 3.
That in there has to weigh 200 pounds, I bet.
At least, and
I
hewed the end off with
this right here?
Yeah. So it would fit in there right to make me a little bridge across the creek.
Well, this is pretty long. Let's get out of the way where Dan can take a shot at this one, big one back down at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, JM, this one starts way up the top of the hill.
Right.
It comes all the way down.
Well,
that's about 50 feet, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about 50 foot from there to here. And that's another little waterfall here that's
right.
And then that empties into the big pond down here.
That's a pretty big one right there. That's a couple loads of rock, I bet, isn't it?
There's about 10,000 pounds of rock in that pond right there. That one rock right here, Bud. See where most of the water's coming off that rock?
That very top part there, yeah.
Under it.
Oh, right underneath it?
Where most of the water's coming off of?
Mm-hmm.
Both ends are hid and the back sticks out. And that thing weighs 300 pounds. And I was parked back there with my trailer.
How'd you not get a hernia or something out of this deal?
Well, I know how to manipulate leverage.
Uh-huh.
If you know how to do that, you can move a lot more than you think you can.
On top of other rocks and boards.
Right, and you just lay it up on it, or turn it up on it.
And then keep rolling it.
And keep going up with it until you get it where you want it.
Well, tell me how you get this water to come out exactly where you want it. You know, you got it separated just perfectly. Does it just trial and error? Or?
So much so, Bud, like a trial and error. But that's got probably 3 or 4 pumps in it for this waterfall right here.
3 pumps.
Yeah.
And then how do you get it to come out where you want it to come out? How come it just doesn't?
You go to the back, and your hose comes up and over and in from the back, and then you can move your hose around.
You get it where you want it?
Right, and you put smaller rock in there to make the water divide.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, I see one of those over there.
yeah.
Well, this is one heck of a, this is just two of them, but it starts way up the hill here and comes all the way down 50 feet into this big, what's it, about 3 feet deep right there?
Yeah, that water there's probably 3 foot deep in there.
Okay, JM, let's go look at some more fountains over on the other side of the hill. How much you think it'd cost you to have this landscaper come in and do this for you again?
To redo it?
500,000, something like that?
It'd probably be at least 10 to 15,000.
Oh, I think each one will be 10, 15,000, I believe.
Well, I don't know. I'm always on the cheap side of it.
What did you say rock cost a while ago?
About $125 a ton.
A ton, and you got
You
100
go
ton
pick-
here?
Yeah, 100
Probably.
ton.
100 ton. Was that right? I just guessed it?
Yeah, it's
close.
about 10,000 pounds.
Yeah. Well, this is
I
really
mean,
neat.
100,000 pounds
100,000 pounds.
of rock out
Okay,
here.
it'd be 50 tons.
Yeah, that'll weigh about 300 pounds by itself.
Right here?
Yeah,
What is this here? This is,
that's an old hydrant, probably close to. It's probably about 100 years old. When I was a kid, 7 or 8 years old, we had one in our backyard,
look just like that?
and not in the house. No running water in the house, but it was outside.
Oh yeah, and that rock it's pouring on there looks like a natural made falls there,
Yeah.
fountain.
When I came in with that, I knew my wife was going to say she wanted it in here. And,
Natural waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. What now? I know she's put some bleach in some of these from time to time. Is that what do you use to keep the water kind of clean?
Chlorine and
Chlorine.
chlorine and bluestone. Bluestone. It makes the water blue.
Okay. So you don't want me to drink in the water today?
No, I wouldn't drink that if I were you.
Okay. And all this, like, when did you make this? How long? Is this one of the first ones you made here, or?
That's one of the first ones I made after we had the little small one up here on the hill.
Okay, the one behind us here. We'll get to it in a little minute. This is probably the second one you made. And this is the one.
Yeah.
It goes off down the hill. This is the one we saw
That
earlier. This goes off down the hill here, doesn't it?
the water comes up the hill from down there and turns where the duck's sitting over there, and goes back down into that pond down there. This pond don't have anything to do with the creek.
Okay, underneath these rocks here, you've got the rubber plastic or plastic, rubber, whatever it is.
Yeah, the plastic rubber lining.
You dig the hole, put the plastic in, then what?
You have to let it lap over. If you don't, the water will go over the sides and get under it. But you have to let it lap over so that plastic comes up there over maybe a couple of foot on either side.
So if it rains real hard and this fills up, it won't?
It goes off on the side instead of.
Okay. Because if you get underneath that plastic and float it up, wouldn't it?
Right.
That'd be a mess. You wouldn't want to have to do that again, would you?
No, I'd hate to.
Oh my. You got plenty of ducks, look like. They like it out here. Is that
Right. Well, and
No?
plus there's brass, copper brass, and there's a little lighthouse that my wife wanted, a lighthouse, and it has a light in it at night.
Now you were in the antique business when you before, and that's for another show. But that's why you come across a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Now this rock here is the one we talked about. This is the big one. This is the 400-pounder right here.
Right, and that's the one they put in the back of my van with a forklift. And
Took 5 people to get it in your truck, and then you got it out by yourself then, huh?
the man on a forklift, he put it in just enough weight to keep it from falling out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I backed up to right there and Betty held the hand truck and
Rolled her out.
rolled her out. And I stood right there and got out of its way and let it fall.
That's where she is.
That's it. It's going to stay there.
Okay, Jim, this is the first one you built. Okay, but it looks like it has bigger rocks in it.
And it's a small one up there, but about 3 foot by 5 foot.
Uh-huh.
And you couldn't see anything because the rocks was hiding the pump and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to build me one up here that I wanted. And it took me about 3 days to dig all this out by hand. And I put the liner put the liner in it, and all these huge rocks around the sides.
Yeah, they're big. Man. They're talking about foot thick.
I put the liner in it and filled it full of water. Had all these rocks on it, and the next morning it was 2/3 empty.
Had a leak, didn't you?
I thought it had a leak, so I had to take all them rock out again, off the top and around the
Had
side.
to move all those rocks off?
And put another liner in, and come out here the next morning, it was 2/3 empty again.
Oh my.
And there was a man here that was working on a house, and I asked him, he said he had a swimming pool, and he left water hose in it, and it almost drained his pool.
Siphoned it out of there.
Siphoned it out.
After you'd moved those rocks twice.
Right. And I came through the house.
You had to haul them, you haul these rocks through the house?
Through the house.
Shortcut.
Yeah. And
Is that Betty's idea?
no, that was JM's idea.
She probably didn't care for you taking a boulder through her house, did she?
No, she didn't like it. Oh, you're gonna ruin this. You're
Oh no, she didn't do.
And didn't hurt a thing. Just and all this pink rock here on the rim. See the little pink rock out in the pond?
Yeah, those over. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
She bought that over there at Montgomery Gardens and paid $25 for that one rock. And this nursery out on Old Mayfield Road went out of business about 3 or 4 years
ago. You got a good deal, didn't you?
And there's a ton of them. That's a ton of rock. And I was a high bidder on. And
they're pretty. They got silver in them too. This is a pretty big pond here. How big we were talking about earlier. How do you probably thought maybe you'd cut the liner too small when you were having that leak. You didn't think that, did you?
No, because I left it lapping over. I knew you can't cut it. I mean, you can't make it larger than what your liner, because your liner's got to lap over about 2 foot on each side and both ends.
So the liner's about twice as big as the hole.
Just about, yes.
Oh my.
And
if you don't know that, you can really screw it up quick, can't you?
That's right.
Now, what do you do with the dirt that you got out of there? We talked about that earlier, but you...
I built up real high.
Built the berm up?
Yeah, built the berm up and then filled in back over in there with it.
Oh my.
It was real steep, and now it's got a slant to it.
Well, any other hints you can think of for
well,
any other hints you can think of for our customers or for our customers? For our viewers? Okay, what about...
You can lay your pond out with a garden hose the shape that you want it. And
like a flower bed, you kind of
that's right.
lay it out before you
lay
get
it out
started. That way you got the right curves.
That's right. You got the curves, and
I know Tammy was interested in that.
yeah.
Tammy's planning on having one of these in her backyard one of these days. She said she wanted you to come and not only build it, but wanted you to maintain it. You don't do that though, do you? Probably. Betty could hire you out.
Yeah, she could hire me out.
No.
I made this thing in the
centerpiece,
and I had to drill holes through each one, and then run the hose up through it. And leave an end of a garden hose where you can screw a little
I can see it right there on the end there, yeah.
And then when that stops up, you can have it off and cleaned out in 5 minutes and
now
back
you could
on.
have bought one of those for about $600. Why didn't you do that?
Well,
it's better if you build it yourself, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now it's Betty's turn. Let's go down here and talk to your wife down here at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
And this is easy to keep. Suds are easy, right?
You're going to go to the outhouse before it's over.
Well, I'm going there right now.
Higher education begins here.
At West Kentucky Community and Technical College, there are lots of reasons education begins here. Reason number 7, new programs. In less than 1 year, you can become qualified as a mechatronic systems operator, pharmacy technician, lobotomist, chemical operator, or homeland security specialist. Need more reasons to begin here? Registration is underway now. Call 534-3264.
Betty Park, you've been talking to your husband, and he says you're the designer and the supervisor. Is that right?
Well, I try.
You try?
He does his ponds, and then I tell him how I want the
He does the
bones of the
manual.
garden, which are the paths.
The major design, the paths. I see the
Yes.
paths are made out of this stone also. They're everywhere.
You know,
That would be enough to wear me out, just doing the
yeah,
paths.
I didn't know when I first started that it's called stonescaping.
Stonescaping.
It makes it sound so great.
That's the science of using
that's-
stones, or
That's right.
horticultural
Stonescaping is like your landscape, except you're stonescaping
you're
your
a
paths.
stonescaper, not a
That's-
bonescaper, a stonescaper.
That's right. But the stonescaping is the bones of the garden. When you see it, you know, it's what they call the bones of the garden.
How did you start designing a garden like this? Designing a water feature. How did you start? What do? You go to one of the gardens and copy one, or?
Actually, you know, he did the pond. Well, from the pond, we wanted to go. We wanted to go over to the well. We wanted one path
Go around that
to
way.
go around it to get from one feature to the other feature,
Mm-hmm,
and it just sort of comes together.
I see you got mulch all around these paths. What keeps the mulch from draining away?
Well, nothing.
Nothing?
When we have a really bad rainstorm, the mulch kind of collects at the bottom. So you just kind of get your shovel and get it and come back up with it again.
You've got a little bit of ground cover here.
Well,
though. Is that natural, or is that?
No, yes, that's all natural, but it doesn't seem to do too well around the rocks
Around the
for
rocks?
some reason. I don't know.
We don't want to get over top of your rocks. Now,
No.
because I've got grass growing around mine, and I have to keep cutting them back.
Well, see, this is so shady in here that it doesn't grow that fast. Now, out in the field, you'll see some grass that where we've actually had to use some grass killer because my husband isn't able anymore to weed eat and to
Roundup?
clip. Yes,
If it wasn't for Roundup, I wouldn't have a garden. I don't
Yeah.
think. I've got
Yeah.
Bermuda.
the Roundup.
Thank heavens for this shade, because we've been in the
Yes.
sun all day, and Tammy got us scheduled for 1 o'clock. Man, oh man, oh man, 110 degrees. Last time, Dan about to die over here.
Well, be thankful for the shade.
That's right. Now you've got a lot of flowers, and we haven't had a chance to touch on the flowers, but is that part of this? Do you use that when you design? Is there special flowers you put with rock gardens, or?
Well, no,
Just-
there's not special flowers.
Okay,
You just
just
buy
whatever you like.
what you like, and hope that they make it. And the hydrangeas in the shade, the white
well.
hydrangeas are great.
Yeah,
They just
okay.
lighten up the whole thing.
Well, let's go over here
And
and
they
look at your.
frame the well.
Oh yeah, the well. Let's go look at the well, and you got Stonehenge over here too.
Yes. J.M. came in with this load of 100-year-old lumber, and he wanted to do something with it. He actually wanted to build an outhouse. And I said, well, no, but
Outhouse?
I'll let you build a well if you'll do what I want.
Okay.
And I wanted,
You're the boss, that's
I wanted
right.
the real steep roof. I've seen old wells, actually on farms that had roofs like that.
Yeah.
And of course, he knows how to do the water feature part of it. But it turned out just exactly
That's
the way
what-
I wanted it to.
I've seen many a feature. I've never seen one like that. That's one of a kind.
Well, that would be nice if the bucket would fill up, but then the old well buckets all have holes in the bottom, so we
You
just
gotta-
let
you
it
gotta
come
get
out
it-
the bottom.
You got to get it quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard that this was the 200-year-old bucket that his.
That was his grandfather's,
Jam's
and
grandfather
actually
bucket?
we went down where they used to throw their things in a gully, and found it in the gully.
Yeah, it's okay.
And
Now, this is Stonehenge over here.
this is our Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge.
The park Stonehenge?
Yeah, it's nothing like the real one. But I told him, I said, the three of them will be really interesting.
Looks like it almost would be good for a RIP in on one of these.
Well,
like
you
Halloween
don't-
or something. Rest in peace.
He might do that. But
Where'd you get the idea for Stonehenge?
I've been to Stonehenge.
Oh.
So
Did
he
you
came
bring-
in with those big, huge rocks, and I didn't want them down. So I said, let's
The vertical,
build
the
it.
vertical lines, yeah, the vertical lines, but you've got a bunch
he
of those.
said, well,
yeah.
I can do that. And so he
Now-
actually buried that one a little bit because it is so heavy.
Now, I noticed that each one of your features has different colors and what different colored rocks and all that. Is that on purpose or just accidental?
Well, it probably is more accidental than on purpose because you don't know what's out there until you see it. And when you see a load of pink rock, well, then you know you want it. And if I hadn't seen the first one, I wouldn't have known it.
It's like pornography. You don't know what it is, but if you see it, you know that's what it is.
Well, I guess that's true. I don't know anything about that.
Okay, well, I know a
That's a
judge,
little out of my
said that
league.
one time on TV, I think, yeah. Okay.
But
and plenty of places to sit. I mean, I've never seen so many different benches. And
that's right. We have our grandchildren come with books, and they love to come to Mimi and Papa's and read.
Was that part of the design? You wanted to have plenty of places to sit?
Well, yes. We just like a lot of things. And
They're really wonderful looking,
we've always had a lot of things,
especially down here in the shade.
whether I need it or not.
Yes. Well, you were in antiques for a long time.
Oh, yes. I went into antique business. My middle daughter, let's see, I guess about 35 years is how long we
So
were
you
in
had
antiques.
access to a lot of this neat stuff that you see out
Oh,
here in
yeah.
the garden and stuff.
Yeah.
And it helped you in your design
Yes.
because you knew this
Yes.
would work perfect there and what
Yes.
have you. Guys like me, see, I got to go out and buy all that stuff and I never see it. And, you know, it's just, I don't even know that exists, but you know it. You
Oh,
see it all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on the other side of the garden here, Betty, and see what's down this path. Okay, Betty, this looks like a bathroom. What in the heck is this up here?
Well, that's my whimsical garden.
Bathroom garden.
J.M. came in with the bathtub, and I immediately wanted the bubbles and the shower in
The
it.
shower.
My son-in-law built the shower for me.
And-
then I said, well, why can't we just have a whole bathroom? He said, I can find it. So out he goes and comes
Water
back
closet
with the,
and everything?
With the,
Is that your
yeah.
personal commode that you use?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
And
That looks like a barber sink. It's not a barber sink.
No, it's a regular sink. I've seen many of them in the old homes.
The bamboo all around the back.
And a
blue spruce.
schoolhouse window.
A schoolhouse.
That's a schoolhouse window.
And this is easy to keep. The suds are easy, right?
Oh, yes, Bud, you're going to go to the outhouse before it's over.
Well,
with.
I'm going there right now. No, we've got to go. That's it from Master Gardening. See you next time. Ah! Hey! Tammy! You were Betty, Tammy, J.M.